IT is ready to start.
I'd like to bring this meeting of the City of Kingman Parks, Aquatics, Recreation, and Golf Commission to order. Today's date is Wednesday, August 16th, 2023. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Fogg,
Present.
Commissioner Lawson,
Present.
Commissioner Engelson,
Present.
Commissioner Dory,
Present.
Commissioner Olson,
Present.
Commissioner Ferry,
Present.
Commissioner Inman.
Present.
We have a quorum.
Time for the Pledge of Allegiance. I would like to welcome two new members, Sarah Ferry and Hannah Inman. Welcome to the commission. You will enjoy yourself. Now I need approval of minutes for February 15th, 2023. Anybody?
I motion to approve the minutes from February.
We have a motion by Commissioner Lawson and a second by Commissioner Dory. Do we all approve?
Aye.
Nobody disapproves? Okay, they pass. Do we have any comment cards, Sierra, that anyone would like to speak?
No call-ins or comments were submitted by the deadline this morning.
Wonderful. New business. We need to elect a chair and a vice chair. Any nominations?
I nominate Karen Fogg for chair.
I second it.
A nomination by Commissioner Lawson and a second by Commissioner Dory for Karen Fogg to be the new chairperson. All approve?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody disapprove? Okay, now we're going to do vice chair. Any nominations?
I nominate Doug Engelson
Uh,
for vice chair.
John?
John Engelson, I'm sorry.
Yes.
Pardon me?
We're nominating you for vice chairman.
You may not want to do that. My term is just about up. I'm about to term out. But if you'd like to.
Okay, any other nominations?
I second his nomination.
Second, okay. Let's see, a nomination by Commissioner Dory, a second by Commissioner Lawson. Anybody approve?
Aye.
Approved by, anybody disapprove? Okay, you are now vice chair, Mr. Engelson. All right. Playground improvements for year 2024. Any recommendations, discussion, and action? I'm assuming everyone had a good look at what was passed down in our minutes, or today's minutes. Does anybody have any recommendations for any new piece of equipment? Commissioner Sarah Ferry, what would you like?
I had some questions. Is somebody available to answer some of those questions? All right, thank you. And I apologize if I missed anything in past meetings. I tried to do some homework before I came, so I apologize if anything is repeated here. I guess I had a couple of questions. Is there anything that the city staff sees as being a top priority here?
As far as the playground improvements, that's between the two options that we gave you. Is that what you're asking?
Yes.
So I know the exercise equipment's been kind of a big thing, especially with especially our culture in the city, but being more active and healthy and, staying fit and stuff like that. I know a lot of us kind of like that, and they've been putting more in. I believe there's one in Bullhead that was just put in with exercise equipment. And then it just seemed like that's been happening a lot more like other parks. So that's why we threw that in there.
Yeah. Okay. And I can see that as well, just overall for our community wanting to have more of a health focus.
Yeah. 'Cause then it also that option also has the shade structures at hubs.
Does the shade structure there seem like a big priority?
It's a park that it's just one that we're able to fit in with that budget because it's a smaller park that go along with the exercise equipment.
Okay, so that's actually pretty helpful. My next question, just looking at the type of playground equipment you have for option 2, it seems that this type of equipment is for all abilities, or maybe more inclusive for people with special needs. Does that have anything to do with why this particular equipment was chosen here?
Are you talking about for the exercise equipment or the?
Number 2, option 2, it looks like there is a sensory dome, which sometimes sensory playground equipment is chosen for different people with special needs.
Yes, and that's we don't really have any parks that really have a lot of that availability.
Okay, that was my question. I wasn't sure if we had a lot of really accessible equipment
No,
at the
not
different
really.
parks. Okay, so that may have kind of played into,
Yeah, we got our park that's at Southside Park. That one's kind of set up more ADA, but there's not. That's not really set up like sensory and stuff like that.
okay. And one thing I especially loved about this equipment is, and I think now they're going more towards all accessible rather than just special needs equipment.
Yes.
Because, kids can play alongside each other, and it's really beneficial for people with special needs and people without special needs. Another question I had, since you bring up the desire to have more fitness equipment, is it possible, since the total cost of this equipment at Kingman Park is under our budget, to include, if you included the equipment from option 1 for Metcalf Park, would it be able to kind of do a mix of the different things, or is it just option 1 and option 2?
That we got it set up right now is kind of option 1 and option 2. I believe it's kind of set like that too because prices kind of change and fluctuate, so we were just kind of staying within those two realms.
Okay, awesome. So these are just some thoughts that I thought I would share. I guess one more question about Kingman Park. This is putting new playground equipment in a park that doesn't have playground equipment at this time.
Correct.
Is the city seeing that there's a need for a children's playground at that location?
Well, one of our parks actually has a restroom, and it's been getting utilized a lot more for the 66 Fest. Farmers Market uses it every weekend. They've had food truck events. It's starting to become a way more popular park, and it's actually scheduled to have new restrooms put in and have the pavement redone. We're actually revamping it a lot. The city's put a lot into it, and that one doesn't have any play at all. That park, you can actually bring your dogs with you too, so that could be a whole family thing. But yeah, there's no play equipment at all at that park.
Okay. One thing that happens sometimes in public parks is accessible equipment will be placed in the park, but then a substrate underneath it, like wood chips will be placed under it. So if you look at like Metcalf Park with the handicap accessible swing, it becomes not really accessible to a person in a wheelchair because you can't really push them up to it. So you'd have to carry the person from the sidewalk.
With this one, the way it's set up, it's not budgeted for that foam padding, and that foam padding doesn't really last too long. We had that at Wallach Ranch Park. We ended up having to take it out, and that's actually still a pretty new park.
Okay.
But yeah, this is slated within this budget and this price range is for the engineered wood fiber.
Okay. All right. So
I know the foam padding and that it substantially increased it a lot.
yeah. Okay. Those were just some questions. One thing I did want to mention that is if the commission and ultimately the council thought this was a good option for the Lewis Kingman playground equipment, if we did include the exercise equipment at Metcalf Park, which I think would be a great option because I know the rock climbing structures were just included there because the demographic of the kids that play there are the high school students. So this would be really age-appropriate equipment at Metcalf Park. And so if that were included in the second one, that would be $140,230, and that's still under budget. So I just wanted to put that out there.
So you want to do, make sure I'm following, you want to do like kind of a combination of the two?
If possible.
Yeah, we don't have it set up for A or B option for that, for you guys to vote with that on there. It'd have to come up with, it'd push it to probably next commission meeting for an option.
Okay. What does the, I think that's all the questions I have. Thank you.
I just wanted to ask, just kind of curious, because I know it was really hot this summer, and it's probably going to be as hot or hotter next summer. The Lewis Kingman Park, like, will that playground is, I know there's a lot of trees around there. Will it be partially shaded, or?
So the
will there
area we
be a
kind of had
cover
in
for that?
mind was Ramada 1, kind of by that softball field area where there is a lot of trees. But one of the issues we also thought about when doing that, when you dig up around trees, it usually causes them to become unstable and could fall when you nick the roots, or it could cause the trees to also die. So I personally kind of wanted to kind of more on the north end, and where it wouldn't be as shaded much by trees, but also wouldn't affect the trees either. But we're slowly trying to put every park to have a shade structure on it. It'd probably be one of the next ones we would put on because it'd be newer, but it would have to happen again down the line, then also probably come down to a vote between that or something else. But as of that, like, it would be going in without a shade structure at first. Because I know we've, like, even doing irrigation at Metcalf Park, just even trenching, that following winter when we had a big windstorm, we lost like 7 trees just because we cut through the roots putting in new irrigation. So it greatly affects it. Like, we can use them for that, but also you run the risk of them falling and even damaging the new structure or killing the trees. So yeah, I'd probably go in without one at first. Any more questions?
So Commissioner Ferry, you would like to have that on the next agenda?
I don't really think that's necessary. I think if we could make a decision on option 1 or option 2, and then perhaps looking at Metcalf Park at a later date, would that be possible?
So
I just know we don't meet very often, so I'd
yeah, it's every 3 months.
hate to push it back.
So let me, do you repeat that again for me so make sure I got it straight?
I don't think I would ask that it's put on a later agenda.
Okay. But I mean, but as far as is it that?
I wondered if there was funding that was left, if maybe we could look at possibly doing something like one of these smaller projects rather than the whole thing.
Okay. So like you'd like want to go to like the addition to that Lewis Kingman Park, but then if there's something left over, like try to do like exercise equipment at Metcalf still? Like
Yeah,
something like that?
I'm thinking if, maybe someone in the community would like to adopt a park and, perhaps there was some this kind of stuff is like the perfect thing to crowd fund and do, like an individual piece could be crowd funded rather than like a whole project like this.
Yeah, that's kind of the splashback came about, was the venture club did a lot of that. No, it is a possibility, but it would have to come down to somebody doing that though too, like adopting it and setting all that up.
Yeah.
Can I ask, the like cardio equipment and stuff, do they have a lot of success with that at other parks, or are they like vandalized a lot, and also
This
the
would be our
upkeep on
first time
those?
dabbling in it.
Because they're expensive, I know,
Yeah.
like when I go to the gyms, they're always replacing that equipment, it seems.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's with anything, any of these options is subject to vandalism, really. I mean, even the playground stuff. I mean, kids are going to destroy whatever they can physically touch. As far as I've only seen one at the Parks Convention 2 years ago. It's the first time I first saw them. They look pretty sturdy. They're more kind of industrial built, more than like we'd see at like Planet Fitness or something like that. But still, like I said, it's not invincible. We haven't found anything yet that's invincible.
So Commissioner Ferry, would you like to make a, what's the word I'm looking for? Motion? Yeah, thank you. A motion to do something like that, so we can vote on it tonight and then present it? The council could look at it also?
Just to clarify, what we'd be looking at is a recommendation of either option 1 or option 2 as a priority to then recommend to council to approve for pursuing with pulling from the budget. If we go with option 1, for example, that obviously leaves extra funds left over for other projects. On option 2, it does show the low end of the cost as well as through the high end of the cost. So you could either go with option 1 or option 2.
Would you like to make a motion? Or anyone?
Well, I had just a few additional comments. I've wanted to see some playground equipment for children at Lewis Kingman for a while. They don't have anything like that. And the park is a fairly central location for our residents, and for travelers, it's along Route 66. So I think those would be advantages. And the exercise equipment at the other parks we could get eventually, but right now we have exercise equipment at Centennial, and so that's pretty centralized park. So I would be for getting the playground equipment for Lewis Kingman Park.
Do you know what the impetus was for the cardio exercise equipment?
What the what was?
What the impetus was, what
What brought it
prompted
apart?
the addition of that type of thing in the park, rather than playground equipment?
I believe it was suggested to Mike. I don't remember who suggested it, but I think also too with Bullhead just putting in theirs probably kind of sparked interest in having one up here or some up here.
Okay, would you like to make a motion?
Okay, I think I will make a motion. I do think that the individual exercise equipment could be funded. It's small enough items, and I know that's kind of been discussed in the past. I've had this discussion with other people that wanted to adopt parks, just to be clear. And I think there is a need for some playground equipment for all abilities in our community. So I'm going to go ahead and make the motion that we recommend option 2 to council.
Any more discussion on this?
Just to interrupt, we do have a motion on the table for option 2. So either we recommend a second to that option, or that option or motion be removed from the table.
Do I have a second for option 2? Okay, that motion is removed right now. Would you like to make another motion?
Sorry, this could be my being new here and not doing it correctly, so please forgive me. Are we able to discuss a little bit more here now that the motion's off the table? Okay, my question would be, would this be an appropriate time to make the motion that we approve option 2 and then possibly bring back the option for funding the parts of option 1?
That
At
can
a
be
later date?
recommended at a later date, yes. Depending on funding, but yes, that can be recommended to be on another meeting's agenda.
Okay. All right, I'm going to make the motion that we recommend option 2 to council and ask that we bring other options for funding for option 1 to a later meeting.
Do I have a second? Okay, motion's off the table.
I would like to make a motion that we recommend option 1.
I second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No? Motion passed.
I'm just going to say nay for that one.
Okay. Okay.
Commissioner Fogg, has it been decided on option 1?
1,
All right.
yes. Okay, we're going to go on to reports. Golf course superintendent report. Is it up there?
Superintendent Pat is here. Yep, we can see you on Zoom, so whenever you're ready, go right ahead.
All right, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I apologize, but I have a really shady connection right now. So I'm just going to kind of limit real fast what's going on. Unfortunately, I can't run video and sound at the same time. Couple highlights from my report that I submitted. Obviously, the work that the maintenance team helped do on the north entrance to the trail system. Real proud of the guys there. Poured a bunch of concrete, installed an information kiosk, installed 100 foot of new netting, and then obviously got everything prepped for the ribbon cutting. We had a great turnout for that as well. Some irrigation highlights, something that's been 3 years in the making for us. We added a new water tap source on hole number 3. What this allows us to do is increase pressure to the nozzles at the sprinklers themselves, and actually reduces water overall because we're not misperforming what we're doing. One of the things I wanted to follow up real quick is we're doing satellite upgrades, something I've been talking about at each commission meeting. And right now we've put 2 in the last couple months, and I have 2 more slated for this fiscal. So that'll leave roughly 10 that we still need to upgrade over the next few years. And then obviously some cultural items. We got a little fungus showing in our roughs and our fairways, so applications of fungicide are going out, along with low-level nitrogen fertilizers that just basically feed our roots and help keep us going and keep us healthy. Some slit seeding in areas just to kind of help recover, get that back into shape as quick as we can. And then obviously during this time of year with high humidity, we cut back on irrigation overnight, try to keep that fungus at bay. And that pretty much sums up what I've got, and I'd be happy to try to answer any questions.
No questions. Thank you so much. Now we need the Golf Pro report.
Just a reminder to the commissioners, whenever you speak into the microphone, go ahead and just bring it closer to you so the speakers can pick up on your voice. Thanks.
Good evening, everyone. And I'm glad Pat got through, so I didn't have to answer any maintenance questions this time. I booked a Becky Fawson event called Light Up Black Friday for November 24th back then, so she always puts on a good party, so that ought to be pretty good. I took and passed my food manager's Mojave County exam back in May, so I'm kind of glad that's out of the way. The park commissioners came by the course, still showing it to some wedding clients. A lot of them are iffy. I think a lot of them are afraid of the golfers making too much noise by number 9 green. Too much bad noise, probably. Sometimes it doesn't always go the way we want. We hosted the MCC, Mojave Community College Bighorn Tournament, May 20th. That was a pretty good event, 75 golfers. They plan on having it next year, probably be closer to 120, I would suspect. Hosted a group from Phoenix. They had a good time. Our biggest challenge tends to be personnel. We hired a guy, John. He started on a Monday and resigned on a Thursday. Lauren Gillespie, this is mainly food and beverage, had to leave, went back to Sholo, Arizona as well. Kingman Rotary Club had their tournament the 29th, had 57 players. That went pretty good. Another successful junior program, 132 kids. So, and then we had the parent junior tournament as well. Haley and Pat attended the City Expo on June 1st. I wasn't able to make that for personal reasons. Handed out prizes, had games, and so forth. City internet outage made it a cash-only option available on June 1st. We've started the City League, which is every other Wednesday. We have about 20 players per event. That's pretty good. Even if you've never played golf, come on out and we'll get you on a pretty good team. Maybe you can make a putt. It's $20. Tee off at 5:15. KMGA had their 3-man scramble, 27 participants. I attended my PGA education seminar in Phoenix in early June. That's just to keep up my continuing education hours. A couple of new hires, Zach Young and Teresa Hood, started a few months ago. Both doing a good job, and they're both still with us, which is a good thing. And we have a new person starting in about a week. The biggest news, Haley Bradley submitted her 2-week notice on July 11th. So, thanks for all the hard work she's done. Just now that she's gone, makes my job quite a bit tougher. But we did hire a replacement, Ty Sherwood. He started this week. He was a part-time that was promoted. Wants to get in the PGA program. He'll do a good job for us. Booked a small tournament September 18th, the Lake Havasu Elks, and I booked one today for, I believe, the 24th of September as well. The biggest tournament of the year, the Desert Construction Shuffler Tournament, was the 29th and 30th, 144 players. No hiccups, so that's always a good thing. I think it was very successful, and we have a 160-player firemen's tournament this weekend. So, any questions on anything? No? I just have a question. Yeah. How many players for Saturday? 160, yeah.
Sam, I understand that there was a vehicle theft out of the parking lot.
Yes, that was actually our new assistant Ty's brother-in-law, of all things. What happened, it was this weekend sometime. It was a truck, and he turned the truck on because it was hot, and turned the air conditioning on to cool it off, and came in to get a Coke. And when he went back out 5 minutes later, his truck was gone. So PD came there quickly and did their thing, filled out their reports. As of yet, it hadn't been found. So I'm not sure what that means. In Houston, we used to have it happen quite a bit, but not here, so.
Are there any cameras pointing at the, not?
No. That's something to consider, though, for sure. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Sam. The Recreation Superintendent report.
Sam Hewitt, sorry.
Good evening. I'm just going to kind of do a run through a little bit. Most of you have the notes in front of you, so I may skim them down a little bit. But the Recreation Division has finished out the end of the summer programming and is gearing up for the fall. We're proud to say we've had a very successful summer with our recreation programs. Many of our classes, we ended up adding to them because of their extensive wait lists. So this summer, our dance students, we did run a summer dance camp, which consisted of about 4 classes overall, and, excuse me, it was 8. We ran 8 out of our 12. We did have 50 students enrolled, and normally in the summer, the students usually take the summer off, go on vacations, and because the summer for us, due to the year-round school system, is 6 weeks, so we tend to lose them over the summer, but then they come back in the fall. And I'll mention that in a little bit to let you know where we're at now. Our Summer Fun Days Day Camp, we have a maximum of 60 participants that we take in that. Pre-COVID or post-COVID, the number had dropped drastically. So this year, I'm proud to say that we actually reached almost those 60 participants every week. We did service a total of 327 campers throughout the summer. And if you do the math divided by the 6 weeks, it comes out to about like 50, I think it was like 52, 53 each week, which is a good number. Classes that were added, when I talked about wait lists earlier, our chess program, our little chefs, our dessert making, the science explorations, we added an additional talk class, our little tyke sports camp, and our tennis. All of those classes had wait lists on them, which we were enough to succeed by advancing those classes and adding extra sessions, extra days, extra times within those same days. It took some work on our half and along with finding the employees to cover them, but it worked out really good. This fall, we have all of our regular ongoing programs. We did add 2 new classes. One of them is a Western step dance program for adults, and we added a fall program for the kids called Bobbing for Pumpkins. So the kids will register, and we're going to do a couple different sessions so that way we don't have too many in at one time. But Bobbing for Pumpkins basically is we are looking for sponsors and purchasing pumpkins, whichever way we're going to go about doing it. We're still in the beginning stages of it, but the pumpkins will go into the water, and the kids get to go in and pick out their own pumpkin. They'll bring it out, they'll decorate it, and then within the time frame that we have allotted, they'll do a contest, so the best decorated pumpkin will be awarded. And then moving on to some of the fitness programs, as I mentioned, Little Tykes was one of the camps that we were able to facilitate by adding more sessions to. Normally, it's a 3-sport camp, and we take up to 20 in each of the sports. We did take 116. So that was a large increase. Again, when I talked about wait lists, we had this, and it's like, we got to figure out a way to do it. The only problem is you're talking summer. The later you move it into the afternoon, the hotter it gets, and we don't want those, this is 4 to 6-year-olds, you don't want them out in the sun at 12 noon. So we had only a limited time frame to work with. The UK soccer camp is something that's come to Kingman for probably the last, if I had to guess, close to 10 years. And they offered, this year they wanted to try 3 sessions. 2 of the 3 sessions went. Normally they offer 2, and 2 has gone for the last several years. I think part of the problem is when they're choosing their sessions, is part of the conflict is when our kids go back to school. So they only had a certain group to pull from. So they ran a little bit short in their last one, and they weren't able to hold it. Tennis lessons, as I mentioned, those also increased. We had an outrageous amount. We're offering it again this fall. We're also currently recruiting for adult volleyball, adult dodgeball, youth volleyball, which all of those will begin in September. And then we're also offering an additional like early registration for some of our winter sports programs. So they'll save a little bit, like they'll get a $5 discount if they register now up through like October, November for the programs that start in January and February in our youth basketball program. But we will also have adult basketball and adult volleyball that will begin in the wintertime as well. Facilities-wise, we have a lot of organizations that share that we don't actually run the sports out of, but between Kingman adult softball, girls youth softball, tournaments, Rebels youth football, Kingman youth football, youth soccer, the Kingman Academy Middle School and High School, Lee Williams High School, the Veterans Treatment Court, Special Olympics, those are all organizations that also offer sports to their participants that utilize our city facilities. So it's just my way of saying that, it just lets you know how busy our facilities actually are, because it's like they sit there and go, how come I can't get a reservation? Well, we're trying to work with everybody, but we only have so much to work with, but we're doing what we can to accommodate everyone. And then also there's all the travel teams. You have travel baseball, travel soccer, travel softball. Those are individual teams that are not so much part of an organization, but they have their own teams that they're trying to find time on our fields as well. The recreation department, moving on to like special events, we did some promotional meetings. One of them was through KRMC's Kids Day program that was held back on May 20th. And as Sam mentioned earlier, we had the City Expo on June 1st. Sandy and Jim, who are two of my coordinators, we were out at that event, handed out promotional materials, trying to gather, inform more people about what we have available, summer classes and such. So it was a good time to be out there to inform our public on. Our annual summer carnival night, which was held on June 16th, we had a great turnout. There was quite a few hundred people, families that attended. We had jump houses. Actually, the jump houses were donated by Cosmic Bounce. We had many carnival-style games, food, entertainment from our dance program. Some of our dance students performed at the event. And then, of course, we close it out with an outdoor movie. We did receive several compliments. I noticed on social media people were putting stuff out there saying thank you to the city, putting on low-cost events and keeping, having stuff for the community groups. So that actually makes us feel like we get a good pat on the back for that. And again, as Sandy, who's actually out here in the audience, she's one of our recreation coordinators, a lot of that work and stuff and efforts that she put in, I owe to her because she does a really good job with that. Mud Mania was held on July 13th. And we had 359 participants this year. It is held on a Thursday. Just so to inform you a little bit, people say, why don't you do it on a Saturday? We start at 10 o'clock. We get done right around 1:30, 2 o'clock. 359 participants. If we did that on a Saturday, we'd have to pay overtime for a lot of the people who are working. The participation numbers would go really high. We probably would not be able to finish the event in the time and lose daylight. And I can tell you that because there has been times when we've had closer to 700 participants. We start at 10 o'clock and don't get done till almost 4:30. So if those numbers were to double and you end up with 1,400 people, you would have to turn somebody away, and then you're really going to have people mad at you because you can't facilitate it. Our annual float and movie night was the day after on July 14th. It was a sold-out event. It was sponsored by Aloe Fiber, so what they did is they covered the cost of everybody to get in for admissions-wise, and we did have just over 350. Maximum is the pool's capacity is 350. As people leave, more can come in, and we did have a total of 359. So we were proud to be able to say that, it was a really sold-out event, and everybody had a good time that was there. We didn't get very many complaints, so that's always a good thing. Shortly after that, on that Monday, July 17th, Arizona Youth Partnership sponsored a free swim night at Centennial. Again, 407 people came and gone through those doors. On August 4th, we had our family night bingo and dinner. We moved it indoors because the weather was a little warm. It was something we used to try to do out on our basketball courts, but we found lately with our weather being as warm as it was, and we get a lot of older participants. So we moved it indoors to the Kingman Academy. They're on the corner. They worked well with us. And we did have a whole lot. There was 30 participants, but it was a total of about 11 different families that participated. As far as aquatics go, our aquatic staff started their season off back on Memorial Day weekend with their training, and they did 2 days of training. We opened up on that Monday, and we are now closed for the public. So if you do hear, why are the pools closed? Well, there's a couple reasons. Your lifeguards got to go back to school or go back to college, which is still school, so you lose them. If you don't have guards, you can't stay open. And a lot of people don't understand that process. So we can't open without lifeguards. Which, you move in, you're going to have another comment here from me later in a bit here. We did also have a total of 41 private pool parties throughout the summer. We only do the parties on Friday and Saturday. So from June 9th to August 19th, we were able to facilitate 41 private pool parties. And then we will remain open for school swim teams only, again, because that's with limited staff. We only have to staff that with 2 guards. So we do have a couple of year-round lifeguards that will stay on our payroll system that can help with special events or with programs like this one specifically, because the coaches that also facilitate their teams, in the event of an emergency were to happen, the lifeguards are the ones that do the rescues. The coaches are the ones who respond, whether if it's calling 911, grabbing the bag. They all have duties in the event that emergency were to take place. Each summer, we're finding that we're getting tougher and tougher for us to obtain lifeguards and water safety instructors. We're currently certified through Red Cross, and those positions require certifications. And every year, like with everything else, those certifications are going up. It's becoming too costly for people to get certified. So this year we struggled obtaining lifeguards, and more so, I should say, water safety instructors. You can't have a lifeguard teach swim lessons. 2 different jobs, 2 different knowledge base, 2 different classes altogether. So trying to obtain your water safety instructors has been a struggle. We had to get our lifeguards on board first and then recruit some of our lifeguards to take the certification course. So our first set of swim lessons, we were only able to open 1 pool instead of 2 pools for swim lessons because we didn't have enough certified instructors. We only had 4, which makes it tough. We like to have 8 to 10. So we were able to train new ones and get them certified and such, but this is an ongoing issue throughout the country. It's not just here. I've heard it on the news, I've heard it on the radio, I've heard it everywhere that lifeguards is a shortage across the nation. So if you want to Google search that when you have a chance, I encourage you to, so that way you'll know that it's not just here. But I know we've been getting a lot of flack and feedback from people about why is the pool closed? It's still 100 degrees outside. We can't open. We physically cannot open. There's a safety issue. So. On a miscellaneous side, there's a program that the city offers for employees. It's not really a program, but it is. It's called a Mission, Vision, and Values. So employees get nominated for doing a good job or for going above and beyond, being a team player, recognizing safety issues, integrity, and so forth. I would like to announce that I'm proud to say that the Recreation Division has been a large contributor of that program. And we have received, employees within the Recreation Division themselves have received numerous nominations. They've nominated people from other departments. So kudos to our rec team for doing so. They've been doing a great job working together and with other departments as well. Next week, Sandy, myself, along with Mike, will be going to be attending the annual Arizona State Parks and Recreation Association Conference in Glendale. So there's educational sessions in which we'll be able to benefit from. And gearing up for the fall, our next season brochure is currently under development. It's sitting at the Kingman Daily Miner right now being constructed. It should be available online on September 2nd if you want to view it online, and then it'd be distributed to local schools the following week. And then one last comment, our Facebook statistics over the last 3 months have overly whelmed, like they're just like really high in increase. So that's, I think, a great thing for our entire department as a whole. And that's it. For the recreation portion, that's all I have right now.
Any questions?
I have one question. Why do you think it's so difficult to get lifeguards these days?
Because of the cost for the certification.
And so how much would that require?
Lifeguard certification is $125 to get the cert. WSI was $275. And the city doesn't have it. It's not something that's budgeted that says, we can pay the certification for you, but then what's the guarantee that you keep the employee? And then again, we have such a short period to work with. There is, with the lifeguards, I believe it's like a 3-year plan. What I say by that is you get certified, and your certification is good for 3 years, and you have to recertify each year after that. But the recertification is not as expensive, but it's also not as time-consuming. The recertification is like 4 hours, I think, 4 to 6 hours, something like that. The course itself is closer to like 30-some hours, and it's all online, and then in skills. You have to come in person and perform the actual things that you said you've learned online. And the same thing goes for water safety instructors. Water safety instructors more along the lines of 40-plus hours. So it's like taking a whole class for 40 hours.
Thank you.
Yes.
I just was wondering, that was a really great question. Thank you for asking that. So I saw that there was a program, I think, for kiddos to take like a lifeguard type of a class.
Yes.
Was that in an attempt to kind of get people interested in?
It always is. We
Oh.
did have a junior lifeguard program. We've been offering it, if I had to guess, off the top of my head, I'm going to say the last 5 or 6 years. It's something that we did start. It does go up to 14 years of age, because officially you can become a lifeguard, a certified lifeguard at 15. The junior lifeguard program isn't certificated, so we can't use them as lifeguards. But they do learn, it gives them the background, so when they do come out and are interested in becoming a lifeguard, they've already got their feet wet, per se. So it does help. We have recruited several of our lifeguards through that program. Lifeguarding is a lot easier to get. It's not so much that we struggle, we do some, but not as much. This year, we've had a good year hiring lifeguards. It's the water safety instructors that we're struggling to obtain.
Nice.
Okay. Thank you, Commissioner Dory and Commissioner Ferry. I do have a couple questions. The bobbing for pumpkins, that's, I'm assuming, in the pool?
Yes,
Which pool?
Grandview,
Grandview, okay.
Yes.
And then they'll decorate it on deck?
yes.
Okay. There was a girls' tournament that used all 7 fields?
Yes.
Was it June? How many teams were that?
I want to say it was 19 or 20-some. I didn't get the details as far as how many teams they had, but they did have 3 or 4 divisions.
And was that put on by an outside organization?
Yes.
Or someone local?
It was done through an organization called C4. They're out of Vegas, and they rented our facility for that tournament.
Okay, okay, thank you very much.
Yes.
Anyone else? Okay, we'll move on to Jerry with the Park Superintendent Report.
All right, I'm Jerry Sipe, your Park Superintendent. We'll start with the White Cliffs Trail System Phase 2 and Downtown Connector was completed. We had a ribbon cutting ceremony celebrating completion, and it was held on Thursday, June 29th at the North Trailhead, and the trails are open and ready to be enjoyed. We'll go with the Grandview Pool update. We did end up draining the pool, and we had the pipe relining completed. The company came in and actually relined the pipe with a kind of like a plastic epoxy, where it had all rusted out. We had it cleaned and refilled afterwards. Geo Group gave us inmates, and they assisted us with the deck stripping and painting and patching of the Grandview pool deck. And they were all completed on time, and the pool opened on Memorial Day as scheduled. Tree trimming. We had affordable tree service out of Las Vegas, was contracted to trim trees at various parks and maintain properties. They trimmed all the trees at Locomotive, Veterans Park, and as well as the courthouse and the fire administration building. They also addressed some more of the concerning trees at Metcalf Park. Start on some. All right. Safety training. Myself, Matthew Golder, and Jimmy Coronado participated in the P3 safety training. We removed hanging branches from Veterans Memorial in Lewis Kingman Park. We provided tables and chairs for the city manager's quarterly walk. We participated in National Safety Month. All our safe personnel training in our department is complete. We ended more engineered wood fiber service at Canyon Shadows Park. We had new eye wash stations from Waxy have been installed. Low areas on our soccer fields we've started to be filling them in for the upcoming season. And a new sprinkler setup was used for Mud Mania this year, making it safer. All right, repurposed and old. As you guys seen, we had those new digital signboards. One of them went in at Centennial Park, and when that went in, It actually removed the Veteran Centennial Park sign that's been out there the whole time probably since it was open. So what we did is we actually took it, I'm sure you guys hear a lot about our fabricator, Ken Kelly. He's one of our mechanics. And he's brilliant at everything he does, but he actually repurposed that into a bench. Even the metal from that is from the old existing sign. But it was all painted and repurposed and is outside the pool area. So going with Adopt a Park, we still have the Kingman Route 66 Rotary Club, has Charles Metcalf Park. The Kingman Young Marines and Marine Corps League 887 still has Veterans Memorial Park. Kingman Main Street has White Cliffs Wagons Trail, and the Kingman Rotary Club has Wallach Ranch Park. On the miscellaneous repairs and improvements, the playground at Mojave Neighborhood Park was repainted. The Centennial Pool Deck was also prepped and repaired for opening. We continue to address weeds by both chemical and mechanical means. Swamp coolers were serviced at all our buildings that the parks currently maintains. Bleachers were transported and returned for use at the Kingman Street Drags. We participated in a kickoff meeting for the drainage channel at Sunbelt Park. Bailey Lewis from the golf course actually came over and helped aerate the soccer fields at Centennial Park. Low spots at Metcalf Park have been filled in and seeded, and we're going to let grass come back, and then we'll reevaluate any more that needs to be reseeded. Electronic signboards were installed at Centennial Park and Lewis Kingman Park. We started applying fungicide at Centennial. We started with the soccer fields first. Roadside landscape on Andy Devine downtown has been trimmed, weed, and been sprayed with chemicals to keep from coming back. The parks provided tables and chairs for Fire Department's Memorial Barbecue at Firefighters Memorial Park. We set up for Mud Mania. We set up for the Mud Mania with the week prior to the event going through, and then we helped with additional setup during the event and tear down afterwards. At Metcalf Park, we removed the fence that goes between the playground and the grass area. The new trash can holders are being installed at Southside Park currently. Parks met with DeVault to discuss the power run to Veterans Memorial area for Locomotive Park. So what happened with Veterans Memorial Park, the Veterans part of Locomotive actually lost all its power. There was a semi that came through and took out the pole. And when that happened, we lost all our power for our irrigation. So what we've done is we've actually done some turf removal there, and then we put in rock. But right now we have battery controllers operating that. But we met with DeVault, and there's actually an extra conduit we put in when we put in that Kingman Main Street sign. So they're going to try to pull power through. We're currently working with them on that. We formed and poured a pad near tennis courts, installed a drinking fountain with a bottle filler and ADA level drinking spigot. We went through, and we're still in the process, because we have so many of them, but we have new no dog allowed signs that are more appropriate and don't show any of like the code stats and stuff like that on it. We're currently still placing those. They are everywhere. An area of dead grass at Veterans caused by loss of the power pole. Like I said, we got rid of all that and decorative rock now. And we did overnight field preps and put up temp fences for that 3-day tournament that Yvonne discussed. We also had 115 irrigation issues fixed this quarter. Majority of issues dealt with sprinklers, valves, or line breaks, but there's a few that was plumbing and drinking fountains too. That's the current thing we're addressing right now. We've been having a lot of valves break and line blowouts right now currently. We got soccer goals installed at Monsoon Park now. The goals were donated by the Kingman Youth Soccer League and been installed at Monsoon Park. This provides extra goals for the community to enjoy and additional places for practice during the soccer season. So those goals were actually the ones that they were using at Centennial for a long time, and they just got rough and beat up. So they bought new ones and they donated those to us, and we took all the parts that were salvageable and kind of repurposed them and made like a whole bunch of broke ones and a couple usable ones, and then we brought them down there. And they actually put down poles, and they actually set up the soccer goals themselves with fields where they go, then we went and installed them. Now on to vandalism. The fiscal year ended with $18,379 worth of damage estimated. Multiple incidents of graffiti every month, and it's increasing with the end of the school year. Drinking fountains we had a drinking fountain that was nearly ripped out the wall at Centennial. I don't know how they got that out of the brick. We had various paper towel dispensers ripped off. We had a vehicle go around field 5, driving and leaving ruts and spinning cookies. We had a stall door kicked in a restroom. Our maintenance yard was actually broken into at Centennial, and we're estimating roughly $4,000 of small engine equipment was stolen. What they did is they cut the locks and chains and loosened the panel on our Camat building and actually got into there. I believe there's just one spray nozzle that was found missing. No chemicals were missing, but they actually got into one of our buildings. We had a sign pole knocked over. Even our storage building We had liquids all thrown over our restrooms. We had 8 inches of chain link fence cut into our entry into a drainage channel. That's mainly right there by U-Haul, going alongside the highway. And we had a glass bottle broken on the deck and pieces in the pool. We had to shut down the pool for a whole day to ensure that all the glass was removed from the pool floor. Yeah. But that pretty much sums up my report. If anybody has any questions.
Anyone have any questions? Oh, good.
Okay, well, I have two questions. One is about, oh gosh, I'll go to my second one here. Okay, the graffiti and the vandalism, do you feel like that's increasing?
Yes.
Getting worse?
Yes.
And so what is being done? Is there a task force or anything on this? Or?
No, there isn't a task force, but what we've been doing is we've been bugging PD a lot with doing police reports. So we're kind of hoping to like doing some of those, and it also gives us a way to kind of like track it a little bit too. The reports are kind of vague. We just get one little part of it, but on their report it shows more information. We have to actually request that. But no, we have been drilling into our rovers and everybody else when they see it to actually call PD so they can get documented with it.
Well, there's a lot more I could probably say about that, but the other question was related to inmates, and you had inmate help this time, or no?
No, how that's been working with the Geo Group, the wardens actually, all of them out there are very great to work with. They still only have like pretty much one crew they send out, and that crew doesn't go out like I used to back in the day where we get all our own crews. There's just one crew now, and they're usually with ADOT. But when we have a special project in that, they'll pull them from the ADOT crew and they'll come and assist us with it, but it has to be kind of scheduled a bit in advance. But even with a short notice, they've come in and helped with a lot of stuff. But yeah, there's just one crew that all us, Bullhead and Lake Havasu, have to kind of share, and we have to kind of put our names on the calendar for when we need them.
Okay, all right. Well, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Dory. Commissioner Ferry.
Thank you. So I noticed that in the Grandview update, it said operators indicate a continual water loss of 700 to 1,000 gallons per day. Is that still an issue, or was that before the?
That was before we did, that's what caused us to do that in the line. We're still having a little bit of water loss, but we believe when we drained the pool, that liner was so old that it needs to be redone. And we knew that was gonna be a risk going into it. We were able to still open it, but we are pretty confident we need a new liner.
Okay, all right, thank you, that's good to know. My second question is, do you have, with the Adopt a Block or Adopt a Park and Trail program, is there a greater need with any of the parks or trails that we could be really focusing on finding volunteers for?
Well, we've had, like, the ones I named off are just the ones that have kind of stayed, and I believe that we were actually the same names from my last even report 6 months ago. We had a couple of the little ones like Hubs and Mojave that were kind of adopted, but it really was only for a little bit, then kind of faded off. There's always is a kind of a great need for it, especially with not having inmates. It does help. Like, even if it's like a group comes in and does like a weekend pickup or anything like that, or maybe even just like stopping by the park, make sure nobody's painting nothing or anything like that. Like, there's a great need for that. Like, anybody that lives close to one, like, you know, maybe keep an eye out for something that's not supposed to be up. And we even changed a lot of our parks to where now it's saying that closes at dawn to dusk.
Yeah.
Because it's, you know, it just gets damaged so much. We come into so much every morning.
Yeah.
But now, with the vandalism, though, it has been increasing. Like, I just hit my 10 years with the city, and it's steadily gotten worse and worse and worse.
So any park that anyone wants to adopt would be a great help. There's not any one that we should focus our efforts on, really,
I'd
per
say,
se.
you know, wouldn't say any main big one, no, or any one that has any priority over the other. Like the ones like Centennial, stuff like that, like we know that those are busy and used a lot, so that's kind of a main focus on weekend duty, go around and cleaning up those. But not the little ones, they all kind of just have their perks of when something happens to them.
Okay, I think that's really neat. That program was put into place when I was on the Clean City Commission, and the idea was to empower people in the community to take more ownership over the park. And I feel like with this vandalism that we're having, you know, maybe if we could encourage, like, and I know it might have to be a particular club or something like that, but like Kingman Academy of Learning, you listed, or a bunch of teams were listed that use the parks, and so it would be great if our youth had some sort of, you know, feeling of ownership for our parks. And so I think that was kind of the idea.
Yeah, there
and
is a
then-
group, I'm not gonna mention any names right now, but does wanna adopt one of our parks for softball fields. And they work for a pretty good company. They wanna come in and actually, it's all still in the works, but like help like resurface some of the ball fields and stuff like that. But that's still just now been the beginnings of everything. But
Yeah, that would be so great, especially with all of our funding challenges that we have here. So then on the vandalism note, I was looking at the budget for parks, and it wasn't completely clear, but was security cameras a part of that budget?
For our budget, we did not, when I last spoke with IT though, what they said, they're slowly kind of starting to get cameras for like the whole city. So we'll probably be jumping on to what they're doing instead of us being independently having our own thing. There's a problem with that because we'd have to have our own servers and other stuff for it, and kind of parks would be like kind of more administratively trying to like monitor all those.
Yeah.
But another thing too, we've noticed with security cameras, it just shows you what happened. I mean, if it's dark and other stuff, you just see something happen. It doesn't really show who it is still most of the time. But with them, it sounds, from what I understanding, we're talking ID, they're getting kind of a whole city on a whole thing, and we're gonna be incorporated with that, but it's still kind of a little ways down the road. But then it'll be like a whole one system that's monitored instead of us individually trying to figure that out ourselves.
Yeah, well, and I know there's been talk of like putting up signage to let people know this is under surveillance and that kind of thing, but that can't be done unless there actually is surveillance. And then the other thing might be to have signs that educate the community about not leaving your purse in the car and not, different things like that. And maybe that could be a possibility, because I know people have their car vandalized, and then when we tell them like there's absolutely nothing we can do, it's just really frustrating, and it seems like we don't care. But okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, like I said, we even changed like the park hours now to where it's dawn to dusk. But I mean, it's unfortunate because then now we have a basketball court that has lights on it and stuff that's now the community can't use because we're trying to combat vandalism ourselves, and it's just not, we can't be here now dark because just too much stuff happens.
Yeah.
Still hasn't really done much, but I mean, it's only there for, it's enforced, I guess, but.
Yeah, and I saw a day after a lot of vandalism had happened that the park's Facebook page put a message out right away saying, please be careful, and I think education is a big part of it.
One of the things that did happen, our yard got broke into, because this happened, this is the third time we've been broken into. Usually the school would get hit right after us, so I went over there and told them, hey, it's usually us, and a couple days later you get it, or vice versa. So I gave them a heads up and warning, but it didn't seem like anything happened over there in their yard.
Yeah. Well, thank you. That's all I got.
Okay.
Any more questions?
Yep, I have some. Actually, touching on the camera thing, did you ever think about solar sensory where the light goes on near where a camera will be?
That would be, if we got cameras, it would be a great idea. And I know even a lot of cameras have those built into them now where it turns its own light on.
Yeah.
But like I said, I think that's, my last understanding was IT is going to do like a whole kind of citywide thing and we'll be part of it. But
If I can cut in real quick, this last budget that just got approved, there is in the recreation budget side some monies for security cameras, which I think we may have to do some communications with Mike when he returns, but I think I want to move that money over to parks, because traditionally it was set for the front of our office and in that area, but there is some money to purchase cameras. How they're going to function, how they're going to work, I don't know, but there was some money approved in the budget. We just haven't got them yet. Our budget just barely got approved like a week or two ago, so.
yeah, but I know it's probably not substantial enough to do like all of them. But
Also, Jerry, on Ramada at Wallach Ranch, you said there was a hole in the roof. Was that vandalism or was that just wear and tear?
Wallach Ranch, that one,
The Ramada roof?
I think that one was vandalism. And that's happened actually a couple times there. Kids will get up on top and like throw stuff over. They'll take the big rocks out of the kind of landscape there and put it through.
Wow. Wow. Okay, and one more thing. The goals at Monsoon Park.
Mhm.
I remember for many, many years, the goals at Centennial, kids climbed on them all the time. Now, whoever mows Monsoon, are they going to check the goals just to make sure that everything's okay?
Well, we staked them in the ground, but we don't have any nets on them. It's just just the metal that's there. So anybody that goes to use them, they tell you they can bring their own nets or whatever for it. But other than that, it's just the frame of the goals that are put on.
Yeah, well, sometimes we have them leaning,
yeah.
when you got 5 teenagers up on top of
Yeah,
it.
we haven't
like-
had that yet. They are still a fairly new installation, but like I said, those were all pretty beat up. But like I said, that fabricator I have, Ken Kelly, brilliant. He went through all of them and put together what he could of all the good parts. So all the ones that were all out there, he kind of made a couple good ones out there for it.
And I love what they did with Veteran Centennial bench in front.
That was actually my idea.
That's wonderful.
Yeah, no, I wanted to stay in the park. When Streets contacted me about taking it down, I told him I wanted it because I wanted it to stay with the park. And then we were all kind of talking. I was like, well, should we make a bench out of it? And then, like, even the metal, he made nice bench brackets, but it's out of the original signed metal. It came out really cool, and it's everything. It didn't cost anything other than the paint. I think we already had it. So
That's great. I love people thinking outside the box. Okay, anybody else?
thank you very much.
Thank you, Jerry. We have any announcements by the commissioner members? Anything? Nothing? Well, I would like to thank Roger Jacks for his years of service here on this commission. We're going to miss him. And also over at golf, Haley Bradley. She's really going to be missed too over there. So, did director's report? Wasn't on.
Mike left me some notes, so I'm going to cover that for him in his absence. Basically, first of all, we do want to thank our 2 new commission members, Hannah Inman and Sarah Ferry. So thank you both for joining us, and we hope that you stick around. Also, thank everyone who attended the ribbon cutting for the White Cliffs Trail System, for the Phase 2 and the Connector Trail that was completed this spring. Linking the downtown area to uptown is going to be an asset for our hikers and trail users. Linking the downtown to uptown included the 5 miles, 6 loops, and 4 other trails. Does that sound right, Jerry? And then the downtown connector trail at the north end of 3rd Street has also been added, so that's going to be another asset as well. Also would like to thank everyone who attended the Park Commission Parks Tour. So thank you guys for attending that. Golf course, the staff have been doing a lot and doing a great job with the limited staff that they have and the hot, dry heat that they've been working with this year. The recreation and aquatic staff also been doing a great job this summer with all their added programs and extended services. So they've done a very good job. And of course, as always, the parks team has been working hard on all the trails and trailhead projects, the many projects, including the bench that came out of the signboard, working together with recreation on special events and so forth with that. Also, a huge thank you to Miss Sierra. For those of you who don't know, she is going to have a child she's due in October. We're hoping she makes it through with all of us. So in her leave, she's been trying to work with us and get us all trained on some things when she leaves. So some of us will be picking up some of her duties. So when we have our next meeting in November, she may not be here. So more than likely, probably not. So you won't see her. She's going to be enjoying her new baby and enjoying her maternity leave away from all of us. So thank you again, Sierra, for all that you do. And then upcoming projects, the playground shade structures at Canyon Shadows and Pawnee Parks. And so just want to make you all aware to be looking for a ribbon cutting invite to come out so we can have you at that. The new digital signboards, Jerry worked really hard with the Public Works Department getting those up installed in some of our facilities. And we don't have complete access to those signs yet, but there is a policy as far as how those functionalities will work and who will have access and who will be able to advertise on it. But for right now, I believe it's city program sponsored activities only for now. Let's see, other thing, we talked about the vandalism and the posts that we put on Facebook. The one about I think the one you're referring to happened right after some of our pickleball evening users got like 4 cars broken into all at once. And it is sad. And the summers are worse from what we're experiencing. Of course, the minute the kids get out of school, you get the young ones who just aren't making the right decisions. But there was also something that came out in the news shortly after that, they're actually hitting across the state of Arizona. And I do know a couple of the people that were affected by that breaking into their vehicles, and they're trying to utilize their cards and their banks and everything in Vegas. So they aren't from around here, or if they are, they're going there to try to use those funds. Other than that, I think that's about it. I just glad the kids are back in school, and hopefully we'll limit some of our vandalism, maybe, maybe not.
I just have one question about the reader boards. Are they going to be independent? So whatever is put downtown isn't going to be up at Centennial?
Could be, doesn't have to be. So they are each standalone. There's a way to select that if you put this one screen and you want it on all 6, it'll play on all 6. If you want it to only be selected to certain views, to certain boards, it can be. One of the things that has been recommended is that there's no more than 5 or 6 on at any given time. So that's the part where you struggle when we talk about citywide, because you got all these departments who will have a need to put stuff up on the board, and only showing 5 or 6 doesn't leave a whole lot of time for a lot of information.
Okay. If that's all, I'd like to entertain a motion for adjournment.
One more thing, the next scheduled commission meeting is going to be November 15th.
Okay, thank you. Now we can entertain a motion for adjournment. Anyone?
I make a motion that we adjourn.
Commissioner Engelson,
I second it.
Commissioner Dory seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Anybody opposed? Okay, this meeting has adjourned. Thank you.